Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Let's look at the reviews. Oh my god. Okay, this movie is not that bad, and for sure not one of the worst MCU movies. Please do not use Rotten Tomatoes to determine the quality of a film. Like, this movie is better than this shit for sure. But before I get ahead of myself, it's also not a good movie. It's just kind of fine. There's some concepts I like in this movie, but just as many things I didn't like. I can say I walked out of the theater mostly positive, but maybe that's just because I went in with low expectations. Anyways, for my non-spoiler thoughts, I would say there's some really interesting sequences in this movie, and it didn't really bore me ever. Just a few times that I was really confused about, especially with the story in the third act. I feel like the story was rushed a bit. It feels like they didn't think everything through, or the story gets sacrificed a few times to tell a few jokes. And I mean, sure, the joke can be funny, but it leaves me with so many questions and it doesn't end up working in the grand scheme of things. The CGI wasn't Spy Kids level also. It was Spy Kids 3 level. No. Well, I thought that would be the case. It was surprisingly okay. Not great, but not as bad as the trailers made it seem. Like, there were some genuinely good-looking backgrounds, but still plenty of shitty-looking shots as well. Still really want more practical stuff in the Marvel movies. The characters are all fine. Scott is still great and fun to watch. His motivation throughout the movie was a nice touch as well. And Majors as Kang was pretty good too. He's definitely not Thanos level yet, but I can definitely see the potential there. So basically, this movie was pretty meh. Don't have too many strong feelings about it. Don't think it was terrible. Don't think it was good. Just fine. Okay, but now it's time to get spoilery. Wow, guys, can you believe Han Solo died? Alright, so this movie. What do I even talk about? Ruben was the best character, right, guys? Oh, right, spoilers. So, the opening sequence in San Francisco was actually really fun, and I kind of wish we stayed there a bit longer, maybe to see some of the supporting cast from the previous movies, who are oddly not even in this one. I don't even know if they're even mentioned. Then quickly, the main cast gets sucked into the quantum realm, and I liked the initial feeling of unease and mystery, but it kind of got ruined by Janet refusing to tell anyone why it's so dangerous down here. Like, they had plenty of time in so many sequences to explain what was going on. But yeah, the build-up with Kang was done pretty well, and when he and Scott first meet, I thought that was a really well-done scene. I love the concept of a smaller Avenger going up against the biggest bad. Other cool sequences was the probability storm for sure, which had some funny jokes as well, like the Baskin and Robin Scott, but also that really cool moment where they all started working together because they all wanted the same thing, to see Cassie. I feel like the Ant-Man movies all do a pretty good job at showing how much Scott really cares about his daughter, and this movie also did a good job with that. And speaking of Cassie, she was fine, but I feel like I needed a bit more time with her. Like, I didn't not like her, but just a few more scenes. The other characters were also just fine. Wasp felt good, but again, needed her in the movie more. She felt the most capable of handling things, but it feels like they didn't really let her get shit done. Besides at the very end of the movie. Janet had some cool backstory at the beginning with Kang, but after the first half, she's just kind of there. And then honestly, Hank Pym's just doing nothing the whole movie. He seemed happy the whole time. I'm sure that was just genuinely Michael Douglas so happy all he had to do was just stand there and he'd get a dump truck paycheck. What other character? Oh my god, it's Mr. Electric. Ah, right. MODOK, or Darren Cross, I guess. Now, honestly, I thought it was genius for Darren to be MODOK. It feels natural for him, and it makes sense considering his end in Ant-Man 1. Plus, he is just comically crazy evil, and I really enjoyed him in the first Ant-Man because of that, and I think that would translate well to MODOK. But it feels like they completely changed his character. He's like a big jokester now. And I get MODOK isn't supposed to be all serious and kind of the butt of the joke, but do we really need Darren making dick jokes too? And also the ending with him wanting to be good makes zero sense. This is Darren Cross we're talking about. He's fucking crazy evil. I'm really disappointed because I thought this could have worked so well. Also, he looked bad. Like, MODOK is supposed to look silly, but they could have scrunched up his face a bit more to make him look a little bit more disgusting. He looked way too smooth. Like I was saying earlier, I feel like they sacrificed a lot of the story for a few jokes. Like, the joke about MODOK dying in Avenger was funny, but it didn't make a lick of sense. Similar to that, the fucking ants in the third act, who for some reason were down there for 2,000 years and made an advanced tier 2 civilization, and that was ultimately what ended up stopping Kang? Like, what? This was just absolutely insane to me. It felt like a giant asshole. There could have been so many other ways to accomplish this, but nope, that's how they stopped Kang in his tracks. The smart ants. That last hour fight was at least entertaining to watch. There was some cool Giant Man action for sure. And I liked how much Kang was beating Ant-Man's ass towards the end. And then Kang dies? Maybe? I don't know. It's left ambiguous a little bit. And I did like how Scott kind of freaks out a little at the end. It was a good ending to this, but I feel like we could have had a really cool moment where at Cassie's birthday dinner, we see maybe a variant of Kang sitting at a dinner table next to them or something. That would have just left a chill in my spine. I like the overall theme of look out for the little guy versus the big guy of the movie, not just Ant-Man versus Kang, but Resistance versus Empire with the Rebellion people who were fine. I like the Goop guy and how his Goop let you understand people and how the buildings were alive too. I thought that was funny. But still, they felt a little bit undercooked. And oh my gosh. I need to tell the story of the people sitting in front of us in the theater too. After the movie finished, they talked about how this movie was so woke because they talked about peaceful protesting and rebellions and freedom fighting. And like, holy shit, that is crazy that you think Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is woke. First off, if you unironically use the term woke, please relearn what empathy and common human decency is. Just because women, minorities, and protests are in something does not automatically make that woke. What the heck is wrong with that guy? But that's not all. He then contradicted himself by saying that the rebellion was actually like January 6th and that Joe freaking Biden was like Kang, which is the funniest thing ever. Joe Biden is officially a Kang variant, everyone. Shoutout! Okay, let's wrap this up. Just some other stuff I liked. Everybody's suits and costumes looked great, especially Wasp's. A big upgrade. Loved the colors. I really loved Scott's book and how you can actually buy it in real life. That's awesome. And then there's the post-credit scenes. The first one shows the Council of Kangs almost directly from this comic book page. And like a bunch of Kangs teleport into this shitty CGI arena. And I don't know, it should have left me feeling intimidated, but it was kind of executed to a silly degree, and I feel pretty mad about it. Especially when you compare it to the second post-credit scene, which I'm assuming is a scene from Loki Season 2, where Loki and Mobius find a variant of Kang, Victor Timely, and the terror we see on Loki's face is so powerful, and that made me feel intimidated by Kang. I kind of wish this was the only post-credit scene, to be honest, but yeah, that was the movie. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, Bill Murray was also in this movie. Ugh, who cares? So you may have noticed that I titled this Ant-Man 3 is fine, but, well, it's because whenever I said something positive about this movie, there was almost always a but in there. Yeah, there's just a lot of buts about this movie, including MODOK's. And to me, that just screams that this movie was rushed and not thought out all the way through. So Marvel just really needs to take a deep breath, slow it down, let the writing, and for the love of God, the visual effects, relax and simmer. And you know what? Maybe that is happening because the Marvels just got moved to November from July this year, and Kevin Feige recently said that things are going to be slowing down. And I hope that is the case because I think that will not only benefit Marvel, but also the industry as a whole, giving more time for more personal and smaller films to shine. So Phase 5 has started, I guess. I feel about the same I did before I watched this movie, which I guess isn't bad, but it's not good either, so I guess it's just fine. I'd probably put Ant-Man 3 right below Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Anyways, Algae Rhythm says like and subscribe. Now Pete, send these ants down to the quantum realm.